facilitating and managing the 2023 Presidential Transition Program. The Council will, among other things, facilitate the handover process by the current President to the President-elect, allow a fair and credible electoral process, and hand over the reins of power to the next President of Nigeria.
In my capacity as Chair of this Council, I will do everything within my power to ensure we meet the expectations of Mr. President. I enjoin each of us to put in even more effort in ensuring the next administration receives every support needed to make an early and a quick start.
In view of the need to document this properly, adequately, and to ensure the smooth continuum of governance and guide the incoming administration with regard to the sustained delivery of key interventions for the development of Nigeria.
Members of the Council include Head of Civil Service of the Federation, National Security Advisor, Chief of Defense Staff, Inspector General of Police, Director General National Intelligence Agency, Director General State Security Services, Clerk of the National Assembly, Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who doubles as the Chairman of the Council. Things of this council will be presented to Mr. President in a weekly briefings by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, and the President expects that the transition process will be replicated across state governments. Helen Osamede Akins, TVC News, Abuja.
Nigeria needs focused leadership to take decisive action to end insecurity, reposition our economy for businesses to thrive, and restore total peace in the land. Tinubu is the right man for the job. Through innovation and technology, he will reposition Nigeria for businesses to thrive. Nigeria will export more and import less. Tinubu will reposition the agricultural sector for food security and improve farmers' welfare. Electricity will be reformed for a brighter Nigeria. Health, education, and housing will be more accessible and affordable. Nigeria will be transformed into an entertainment powerhouse, a home of sporting achievement, and a renowned tourist destination. Tinubu's government will build a Nigeria where we prosper together. He has done it before, and he will do it again for Nigeria.
For renewed hope 2023, vote Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima as President and Vice President of Nigeria. Vote APC.
The leadership of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Taraba State has distanced the party from the internal wrangling in the state chapter of the All Progressives Congress, APC. The APC governorship candidate, Senator Emmanuel Bwacha, alleged that the PDP leaders are deeply involved in the APC internal crisis in the state. Reacting to the allegation, the publicity secretary of the PDP in the state advised Senator Bwacha and his party to look inward. He stressed that Governor Darius Ishaku has no hand in APC's predicament, saying his problem is with the aspirants that contested the ticket with him. The PDP spokesperson is optimistic that Kefas Abu will beat Bwacha at the next month.
So it is we in the PDP that will have been unhappy with him because he chose to bat the finger that fed him. So I don't know the source of his courage, but I want to appeal and strongly advise him to face his issues. We in the PDP, when we had issues at the Federal High Court, Court of Appeal and Supreme Court, we said it was sibling squabble. We left it at that.
All right, we sincerely apologize that we cannot bring to you the interview with the PDP governorship candidate in Taraba State. But now, we will bring you a previous interview with the Commissioner for Information in Delta State. Welcome back. You're still watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. And now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am now joined by the Commissioner for Information in Delta State and spokesman of Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council, Charles Anyago, for discussion on the governorship contest in the state. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Jumoke. It's nice to be here.
Thank you. All right, let's begin. As Commissioner for Information, you are an insider in Delta State politics. Tell us how the 2023 electionary campaigns are shaping up in your state.
For us in Delta, we believe that democracy affords every citizen the opportunity, and that freedom could either be expressed vocally by individuals vocalizing their views or their position, or by way of movement, in which case individuals can afford to move from one group or the other, or one political party or the other. So once you have that free atmosphere, it helps to give strength to the principles of democracy, and that's what we have in Delta. And bearing in mind that our leader, the governor of Delta State, and the vice presidential candidate of the PDP have had the privilege of being in government for quite some time, and also having to be in the National Assembly, which of course is the greatest symbol of any democratic setting. He understands that everybody, even when you don't belong to his political party, that you do have a right to be able to express yourself. So on that note, different political parties have had the opportunity to interface with their supporters, seek more ways of getting more persons to also come on board, have opportunity of expressing their different intention to those who they are seeking to govern. But of course, you know, in Delta, PDP is more like in the DNA of the people, but that does not mean that other political parties are not trying to take steps to want to see how they can play also in the bigger field. For us, we are one family, irrespective of the political differences that exist, but we will continue to plead with other political parties to know that being members of one family, you are very free to be able to express yourself, tell people what you want without having to lie or bring propaganda that will not promote the peace that we have in the state today. So in our state, we are quite comfortable that our people do understand that the PDP, being the ruling party, does have a whole lot of what you may call opportunities in terms of how much the party have done in adding value to the people, while the opposition political parties are also seeking ways of wanting to come in, and democracy allows that. So everything is going on smoothly. We allow everybody, unlike other states where they prevent people from even pasting their posters. You begin to see that those who claim they are popular, they are even afraid of just posters. In Delta, we will even allow you to campaign even in front of government house, because we believe that we own the land in terms of politics, and as such, anybody campaigning is free to campaign, but we do know that we have done so much to be able to enjoy the support of the people.
All right, talking about differences, the governorship candidate of your party in Delta State, and that's Sheriff Oborewori, fought hard right up to the Supreme Court to retain the ticket of the party. What efforts are being made to reconcile aggrieved persons who took him to court and get everyone pulling in the same direction?
Well, let me also make it very, very clear that even going to court is also recognized by our law as part of the democratic processes. There are those who may have aspired. They had those who have also buried their own interest in their own ambition. And so when they are not able to win, those individuals are even positioned to either ask them to push forward because they are looking at their own interest. So those who went to court did not offend the law. That's what the law recognizes, that if you feel aggrieved, you can proceed to the court rather than having to engage in other processes that could disturb the peace of the land. And that was what those who lost out in the primaries did. But everybody agreed that the primaries of the PDP was very, very free, very, very fair, and that most Deltans supported Oborewori because, number one, he has got a grassroots support. Secondly, he has done well as the Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly and being the longest-serving Speaker in Delta State. And of course, the fact that he was able to interface with a whole lot of the electorate, particularly the delegates, ahead of the primaries. And thereafter, there are individuals who took up other issues. Very clear that what they did was not sufficient to undermine the election and to also undermine the credibility of the candidate of the PDP in Delta. And so today, we have taken steps to bring them back. A whole lot of them have come back, and we are moving more like one family. it is most likely that you could have 1 or 2 persons who may have fought so hard and may not see the need to come and be part of the House. But in all, there are a number of other persons who have joined us in the House. That is when I mean the House, I'm talking about the PDP family in Delta. A good number of those who were also involved in that contest have also returned. There are a few that we are still talking to, but the reason why we had to do that is not just because of the vote alone, but because Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa led a Delta that is one. And so Oborowori is also very much interested in continuing, taking a look at his more agenda to bring everybody on board so that at the end of the day, beyond winning the vote, he's able to also get everybody to support him in delivering the many laudable programs that he has already outlined, that as soon as he comes into office to be able to sustain the development in Delta today. And so within the PDP, we are what you may say home and dry. We do hope that as we make progress, many more persons will also join the fold, because they do know that that looks like where you have the greener pasture.
All right, Mr. Charles, we would like to go on the commercial break, but when we come back, we will continue this discussion. Please stay with us.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move weigh in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty, erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen?
BBC News. First with breaking news.
Join me, Precious Amayo, as I bring you news from the epicenter, where it happens and when it happens, staying on top of every breaking story, minute by minute, right at the hour where the city gets busy and just before it sleeps. We're live from every angle with objective insight and analysis. TVC News, first with breaking news.
In the month of February, 4th of February is World Cancer Day. 6th of February is International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation, while 11th of February is dedicated to women and girls in science. On the 12th of February, it's International Day Against the Use of Child Soldiers, also known as Red Hand Day. On the 20th, it's Russia-Ukraine war broke out. Stay tuned to TVC News as we bring you in-depth report and analysis of these events.
Hello Nigerians, my name is Kashim Shetima. I'm the APC Vice Presidential candidate. Here we have 1,776 orphans, vulnerable orphan girls from Northern Borno, all of them victims of Boko Haram, our house and educated, getting the best that the nation has on offer. Look at this edifice. It's about one of the best schools in the nation. And this has been replicated along the length and breadth of Borno and further sustained by Governor Babagana, replicated across the length and breadth of this nation. Both wisely, both Bola Tinubu for the presidency of Nigeria come February 25th.
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
Welcome back to Politics Tonight, and we have our guest here, Mr. Kasim Afegwa. We will be looking at the political implication of the Naira crisis. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Looking at the Supreme Court ruling earlier today, what is your view about the whole crisis?
Well, I think I have my reservations about the conduct of the CBN governor from day one, because whatever value you want to add to an economy, you have to first and foremost fulfill the primary responsibility of government, which is to provide welfare and security for the citizenry. In this case, it's like the governor of CBN is fighting with Nigerians. It's like he's quarreling with Nigerians, himself and the president. So I'm like wondering, what could be the motivation? Do you punish Nigerians because you're trying to mop up funds so that people will not use money for politics? Do you just jump into cashless economy without preparing for it? Do you just wake up one morning and you say you want Nigeria to be cashless when you don't have the basic infrastructure, internet connectivity in the rural areas, even in the city centers, they are hardly ever functional? So how can you migrate from a dysfunctional system into a functional one just overnight without, making adequate arrangement and preparations? Those other countries and economies that are into cashless economy, they've prepared the processes, and they have the basic infrastructure, the architecture to make that functional. But in our own case, I don't know. So I'm like wondering, you have money in the bank, you can't access this money. That's your legitimate savings, you can't access it. That's criminal. So for me, I think the Supreme Court is coming in as a stopgap to this kind of executive recklessness, because policies of government and programs must have a human face, and those kind of policies must also take into account the interests of the ordinary Nigerian, not necessarily those who are in high places, but those in the rural areas that don't have other alternative when it comes to the issue of assessing their savings. So rather than hello?
Please go on.
Yes, rather than try to say you are helping the economy, for me, you are killing investment. Because by the time another government comes, people will be forced to withdraw their money from banks and keep in their homes. So rather than stimulating investment, savings, and all that, you are going to be killing savings. Oh, they say kidnappers are no longer this, armed bandits are no longer this and all that. But we also have bandits holding new currency in the forest, whereas those who are in the city do not have access to the currency. So for me, I want to commend the initiative and the position of the Supreme Court. I've had legal opinion, learned opinion on this, that Supreme Court has no jurisdiction, this or that. On issues of states versus federal government, I think the Supreme Court has implicit jurisdiction on that, and they can act in the interest of the country. Anybody, any agency of government by way of CPA or any other one that thinks that he can act on his own without being controlled by the relevant court of law, I think they will be overreaching themselves.
All right. Yes, we have the Supreme Court ruling, but then how will you describe the situation where some banks and some courts are still rejecting the old Naira notes despite the Supreme judgment?
Well, they are taking the cue from the lawlessness of the CBN governor, insisting that February 10th is the deadline and no going back and all of that. I saw them issuing a statement today saying that if you have money to deposit, you have to come to CBN, you have to go online, go and fill a form. You have a particular number, they will give you a code. It is that code that you are going to use to be able to trace and all that, then you come and save at CBN. Why is the central bank or the Apex Bank of the land behaving like a commercial bank? Why? It's supposed to be render of last resort. It's supposed to provide a roadmap for our monetary policy and all of that. But they are behaving like the usual, commercial banks. So for me, the law must take its course. We must jealously guide against any infraction of the sanctity of Supreme Court pronouncement. No matter how, even if it's unpopular, even if you feel that it doesn't suit your own whims and caprices, we must, under a democracy, make sure that we protect the sanctity of the Supreme Court and any other court for that matter. But Nigeria and everything becoming politicized. You sleep in the morning is politics. You wake up in the afternoon is politics. Everything. People don't even, they have lost sight of the ingredients of a proper justice system. You know, the Supreme Court has meddled into this. They are trying to provide a soft landing for CBN. CBN is still insisting, as if they are interested in those who are being killed as a result of protests here and there. They shot somebody in Benin today. In Ibadan, there was protest. In Delta, there were protests. All of this. Why do you have to protest for somebody going to court to go and, you know, just withdraw his own legitimate savings? Since last week, I've issued check just to collect little money across the counter. They wouldn't give. The closer they wanted to give was 5,000 naira in 50 naira denomination, looking so dirty and all of that. What is the meaning of all that? Then tomorrow you think I have opportunity to withdraw all of that money, I won't withdraw my money? I will have no business to do with banking in terms of savings. If I can be thinking like this at my own level, you can imagine what the ordinary man in the street or even in the rural area will be thinking. So I still want to commend the Supreme Court for coming in at this time, and I commend the state governors for even having the boldness to confront a system that they feel is impacting negatively on the well-being of the ordinary citizen.
All right, talking about protests, which has led to violence in several parts of the country, what should the president do at this time? And I'm also going to say, shouldn't he, withdraw his support for the CBN governor now?
You see, I've always said that President Muhammadu Buhari allows himself at times to be cajoled, then falling into trap, booby trap, be set for him by his lieutenants. And for crying out loud, the president, for me, is a monologue. He talks to himself. He doesn't talk to Nigerians. When the governors met him last week, he said in 7 days he was going to get back to them. Within the 7 days, he called the Council of State, which to me is more like an advisory body, more like a rubber stamp assembly, to go to discuss the issue of monetary policy or the Naira swap or what have you. For God's sake, I expect the president to always find opportunity to address and speak to Nigerians who elected him to preside over them for this second term. Rather than keeping quiet and maintaining conspiratorial silence on issues that require urgent national emergency, kind of. I expected him to come out and talk to Nigerians and address Nigerians. Let us even know the roadmap. He's making the CBN look like the spokesman of government. Emefiele will talk to today. Tomorrow is Granny press conference. Too much of seeing the faces of Emefiele is provoking Nigerians. You are seeing his faces all over the time. He's not addressing the issue. There has to be a public relations department of the CBN that should take up the issue of communication. He wouldn't want to be seeing the face of Godwin Emefiele. I mean, that's not because all he's telling us in Nigeria, they are even further aggravating the situation, insisting that, oh no, Supreme Court has no jurisdiction. He says the February 10th deadline is this, is that. Oh, come on. Are you the owner of CBN? CBN is our collective property. Our collective patrimony is domiciled in CBN, and we have a right to interrogate their processes if their policies and programs are not in line with what we expected. But this is Nigeria, anything goes. People are just assume larger-than-life image, larger-than-life, personality, and they don't care a hoot about the well-being of the people. So whatever be the motive of this, I was asking someone yesterday, I said, whatever be the motive, this is a policy that was wrong-headed. In an election year, and after this election, they also put in place a census, national population census is coming up in March and April. What is all of this? For a government that is exerting power, you need to finish strong. I don't know who is advising President Muhammadu Buhari. That's the truth. But whoever has given this advice, whether you say it is meant for want to stop people from buying votes, you want to do this, you want to do that. When they take this new currency to the bank, it's also the big men that will go there and take the chunk of it. So the ordinary person doesn't even have access to it.
All right.
So it's quite unfortunate.
It is said that the CBN and the president wanted to end vote buying. Can this policy end vote buying?
Well, I don't know how much of control they want to control, the money circulation or money in people's bank accounts. But you cannot just wake up in the morning in October, to be specific, October, November, December, January, and you say you want to take money away from the street and because of vote buy. Meanwhile, we are hearing news that through the back door, you have funded the opposition. We have had those kind of news. And I have every cause to believe, because even the opposition candidate, Elijah Tukabaka, insisted, was giving directive to CBN as it was president, that CBN must not extend beyond February 10th. Why do you derive joy in punishing Nigerians? Why are you this wicked? Why are you heartless? Saying that there should be no extension beyond February 10th. Oh, people have old currency, say they should not collect again. What is the meaning of that? Because you want to be president of Nigeria, you are being so desperate, and so everybody should die so that you can become president? What are you going to preside over? So this is the kind of thing you get to when people have ulterior motive to policies and programs. When people are acting like conspirators, working from answer to question just to get their own selfish interest, self-aggrandizement, just to get it fulfilled. People are behaving like conquistadors who wants to acquire. When they are tired of acquiring, they throw one policy to rattle the system. See, whether we like it or not, Nigerians deserve a right to be told the proper thing, and the CBN governor and that CBN as a bank has a duty to act as bulwark for all manners of infractions in terms of financial transactions. They need to take the interests of Nigerians at heart. This is not a matter of APC. It's a purely government one, because this particular Naira swap was never in APC manifesto. And so if the CBN governor has decided to use this as a way to punish Nigerians, well, we will collectively continue to pray that may God forgive him.
Mr. Fegwa, amid all these crises, some governors have continued to tell their citizens to continue to use the old Naira notes, which leaves Nigerians confused and anxious. What's your view on this?
Yes, that is what you get when you don't have a disciplined federal government. This federal government is very indisciplined because they are not talking to us. They are behaving like a typical monologue. They're only talking to themselves and those who are in Aso Villa. They just feel that it is their own rights to dish out all manners of bestialities and inanities on us. And we, as compliant citizens, will just swallow everything, hook, line, and sinker. I think it has gone beyond that. You see, when a government cannot put its feet down and respond to the yearnings and aspirations of the collective, of the people for whom that government is meant, you are bound to have this kind of pockets of, what do you call it, directives, counter directives. Oh, the governors, of course, they govern their states. They need to do things that will suit their own citizens because they are the receiving end of the pressure. The governors will meet with their people. If the people are not happy, the governors must do that, which will help to ameliorate or even simmer down the kind of anger. You can say the protestation, you see banks being burnt and all of that. Some governors are telling their citizens, please don't take locks into your hands. They are working from us. We have said this before now that they want to provoke a crisis situation so that there could be an apocalypse. That apocalypse will not come. February 25, election will hold, the victor will emerge, and we'll move on from there. Now, if peradventure the conspirators didn't get their way, and what they were expecting didn't happen, what will not happen? They will not say, oh, somebody is being witch hunted and all of that. Because a new government that will be coming in place this month will definitely have its own policies and programs that may be different from this one, irrespective of whether it is of the APC or otherwise. So I am of the opinion that policies oozing out from the inner sanctuary of the CBN must have human face. They must look at the suffering of Nigerians. I don't know how it places them that they see people queuing up at ATM machines. This early morning at 8 o'clock, I was at Transcorp Hilton. By the time I got there, at least I took a count of about 48 people queuing up just to access one ATM machine of the Zenith Bank. Before that, along the road, you see the same scenario. Go to Ghana Street as we speak now, you see a long queue, people waiting to collect. How much? 2,000 naira, 5,000 naira. This is their legitimate savings. What kind of wickedness, what kind of heartlessness is that?
Mr.
What kind of recklessness is that?
The governor of your state appears to support this CBN action amid violence in Edo State. What's your reaction on this? Is he on track?
What Obaseki? Are you talking about Governor Obaseki?
Yes.
That one, is that one a governor? Is that one to be taken serious? Everything Obaseki does, he plays politics with it. He met with the CBN in Edo. I was talking as if he was the one who gave them the directive ab initio for this currency swap. Anybody that does not take side with Nigeria, with the suffering of Nigerian masses, such a person should get his head examined properly. See, it is so provocative, it is annoying, it is disheartening, it is discomfiting for anybody to think that you have a policy in place where you see your citizenry suffering just to go and get 2,000 naira from the bank, 5,000 naira from the bank. You spend like 6 hours. To hell with that kind of policy. To hell with it. Then tomorrow you wake up and tell me that such a government is for the welfare of the people? No. The primary responsibility of government is protection of lives and property and welfare of the people. It is written in our Constitution, 1999, as amended, Chapter 4. So it's very explicit. But when you now derive job because you have access to all manners of illicit funds here and there, and you want to send people to be something because you say you are trying to protect the vote by. Where are the security men? Where is EFCC? Where is ICPC? Where is the police? Where is the military? In all of this, why won't they protect or prevent people from buying votes? Why must people suffer because they want to queue up to vote to elect a leader? And you think that, oh, that will go to counter. But that is why you see the APC coming out to become like critic of its own self, because the government did not consult the governors of APC before they came up with this policy. And it was never contained in the APC manifesto. And so they need to speak out. They spoke out. 10 governors have joined today, 10 governors of 10 states. They have joined today. So they have adjourned the case to Wednesday next week. And you see the CBN still gallivanting and shouting, telling us that, no, we are not going back on this, we are not going back. So who are you? Who do you want to please? Are you the owner of CBN? Do you own the money there?
All right.
These are equal ownership. Opportunities may differ, but for God's sake, this is equal ownership.
All right, so INEC has said the current crisis is a threat to the 2023 elections, as ad hoc staff and those who move materials will be paid in cash. Do you have fears that this election may be postponed?
You see, even the position of CBN, when the INEC chairman visited him, CBN governor, saying that they were going to make cash available to INEC, is also wrong. You see, the CBN cannot assume the position and the role of a commercial bank. The CBN, by law, is a banker's bank. And so, sitting down in your cocoon so comfortably and telling INEC, For me, INEC has a duty to perform. But if the CBN has deliberately and consciously tied INEC's hands or padlock their mouth or put chain, manacles on their legs, there is nothing they can do. If they are planning to postpone election, it will only fall into my earlier assessment that they are working from answer to question and do not want elections to take place so that there could be some kind of interregnum. God forbid such interregnum. God forbid any plot to foist on us interim government. There must be election February 25. If you postpone, that election must still take place. And whether they like it or not, INEC has its own bank. The CBN cannot be channeling cash to INEC like that. That would be criminal, that would be fraudulent. Nigerians need to be told, because it is not their responsibility. If you know you have printed money, give money to banks. INEC has a finance department. They have auditors. They have finance experts. So let them deal with that, not you sitting down, you are carrying out Ghana must go banks and carry more cash to them. That means you are going to funnel that money through another source to fund some opposition. It's quite unfortunate, but this is where we have found ourselves, in the hands of Emefiele and the president of the country.
All right, so let's talk about the impending election. The Labour Party candidate is leading in all opinion polls. Are we going to see big surprises in this 2023 election? Mr. Fegwa?
Well, please, don't discuss opinion polls with me.
Why not?
Because we know how they generate opinion polls. You see, the razzmatazz that has visited the OP presidency is only good for the fact that the youths are getting more, enlightened and awake to their responsibility. So what you need for a virile democracy, particularly an opposition democracy, is a conscientized, sensitized, and mobilized electorate who can interrogate issues and scenarios. So when you talk about opinion polls, I'm yet to see the criteria they deploy in coming at those conclusions. And I keep telling people, you can draw your opinion polls, you can come up with it, but these 2023 elections, next week Saturday, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the man to beat by all standards. A lot of people who are running around, like today, I met a set of young guys, about 9 of them, were interactive. Out of those 9, they all want to be, but only 2 had PVC. And I was asking them, why don't you? He said they don't stay in the country, and by the time they came, they were not opportune to be registered. So when you see the kind of noise and you conduct opinion poll around this kind of persons, and you want to use that as a basis to determine who becomes the winner, I would say that's a wrong-headed approach. So for me, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the man to beat. You saw him today in Rivers State, met with Nyesom Wike. Don't tell me that is not a good outing. You have the G5 taken away from Atiku. You can't tell me that it's going to be inconsequential. No. You have 21 governors of the APC who are also part of mobilizing their electorates in their respective states. You have local government chairmen who are going to do a lot of mobilization. Then you are telling me that Obi is the one who is leading the polls. Let him go and do opinion poll and be president of opinion poll. But the president of the country that we want, that who I'm saying, will be Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
All right, that leads me to my next question. You say you do not belong to the APC, but you openly support the presidential candidate of the APC, that's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What's going on?
No, you see, I have inalienable right under the Constitution of Nigeria to express my franchise, that's to vote and be voted for. In this case, I'm voting for someone in expression of that fundamental right, which cannot be taken away from me by anybody in any stretch of imagination. Now, I decided to support Bola Ahmed Tinubu in line with the aspirations of the 14 northern governors who rose from a meeting and told the party that they must cede presidency to the southern part of the country. After a Buhari presidency, in order to balance the power algorithms, in order to balance
Mr. Fagwa.
This sense of inclusion, because, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. In order to eliminate this concept of mobilization and of marginalization, you need to balance the power algorithms. So after 8 years of President Buhari, the northern governors, who today are my heroes, because they looked at the president and asked him, say, no, after you, it should be the Sultan of the South. Those who left PDP to join APC in 2015 in the name of zoning, Atiku Abubakar and others, Yochayu and so many of them, are the same persons who have left APC to continue the abuse of zoning in PDP. In 2019, it was the opportunity of the northern aspirants, they all contested, no southern aspirants participated. So in 2023, you still want to continue the same matter in a fit of desperation. That to me is a handshake beyond the elbow. So when the G5 are speaking, when they are talking about issue of 2023, you should know the perspective from which they are taking the issue. So for me, I don't have to belong to a party. I am a voter. And I have few people who also support me in my polling unit, Ward 5 in Okbola, polling unit 001, Ikpomaza Grammar School. I'm going to be there on that voting day, February 25th. I will leave Abuja, go to that village to ensure that I'm able to talk to our people and return Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in that polling unit. And I expect every other person who is supporting Asiwaju to also do the same thing, because election is at the polling unit level. Once you conclude, we count all of the, it is posted using the Beavers technology to the central collation point. So don't expect that I will be a member of a party before I can vote. No, I'm a voter, which is the fundamental thing. Electorates, that is those who elect their leaders, may not necessarily be members of political parties, but they might be persuaded by the policies and ideologies and the credentials of the candidate they support. In this case, for me, Bola Ahmed Tinubu represents the yearnings and aspirations of my own orientation. A man who stood and fought for democracy, vigorously using Nadeco and other means. A man who has been in the trenches, who was a governor of Lagos State, even when the federal government, denied him his statutory allocation for more than 4 years. The man was still standing. When Obasanjo captured, the southwestern states, Lagos remained unbound. That is the kind of mindset I want. That's the kind of strategic thinker that I want to see as the president. And I've had opportunity of interacting with him. I've looked into his renewed hope document, and I've seen a lot of things. In his campaigns, he has been drawing peculiar policies and programs that suits the different states of this country. And so I'm a supporter of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Unapologetically, I don't owe anybody any explanation to do that, because it's my right to so do. And I'm praying fervently that come February 25th, by 26, 27, the results should be out and Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be announced.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Kashim Afegwa, for sharing your perspective with us on the political implication of the currency crisis. Thank you very much for coming on Politics Tonight.
It's a pleasure always, all the time. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much for watching. That's all we have for you on Politics Tonight. Thank you very much for watching. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Good night.
It's the most visited state in Africa. As the 5th largest economy on the continent, covering Lagos and its government is no mean feat. It's a busy beat. We go beyond the cutting of tapes to traveling far into the deep.
I want to thank the Lagos State government for the healthcare